Firstly, I just need a little sip of this. Oh, I need windscreen wipers on me gogs. Anyway, welcome, yeah, wrong'un. I'm not sure whether any of the parishioners or anyone in the body of the Kirk this evening is suffering from this man flu, death flu that's going around. But as you can guess, because I sound a little like Barry White, I went upstairs sounding like Joe Pasquale. I went downstairs sounding like Barry White. Something must have dropped. So after getting rid of the cough, it's back again. So you have my every sympathy. I've had to drag myself off my deathbed to come and present this for you. I know you're not going to give me any sympathy. Well, where's sympathy in a dictionary? It's between shit and syphilis, as a wise man once said. So I'll go to your comments if that's okay. I'll kind of get into what we've got this evening. I think some of it's quite good. I just think, I know a lot of people will be getting their feet under the table and we'll be getting into the pews. Hopefully there's a little extra Battenberg this evening, because I think we need some, I need some medicine. Battenberg medicine. And I just think it's a great time to be alive. I mean, you've got one side of the Atlantic where all the politicians have been proven to be corrupt, and you've got this side of the Atlantic where all the politicians are being proven to be corrupt. So it's like, it's wonderful. The whole political thing, system, classes, it's all falling down around their ankles, including their knickers or the boxer shorts, depending which office in Portcullis House you are. So we'll get to USAID. Have you noticed how some people in America, they're so dim? They're as dim as a 40-watt light bulb. They're saying it's USAID. No, you dipstick. It's US, as in United States, aid, as in foreign aid. And I've heard some really intelligent people call it USAID. So it's given me a great source of amusement. It's given me lots to keep me dander up. Anyway, Andy Turner's first in the body of the Kirk this evening. Evening, Andy. Evening, you wrong'un. Andy says, here's a question. I was listening to Talk Sport and a caller was just put to air and the presenters cut him off for recording the call and said, you can't record the call. 1, why? 2, how did they know? 1, why indeed? Because I would imagine that most radio stations are doing doing this catch-up thing, where people can record that if they want. There's no need to record it live, but if they were recording it live, it may have proven problematic with the technicalities, because if you're in delay, well, yeah, if you're in delay and you're recording in delay, if you're speaking to somebody live, then it's going to cause a bit of howl round, which is a technical term that we used to use in radio. But I would imagine, off the top of my head, Andy, that's the only reason I think that they would have. It would be a technical. Oh my word! Hang on, I've just had an alert from. Well, all I can say, I've had an alert from somebody who's about as thick as pig shite. I'm going. Don't know whether he has, but I will get to that. I will mention that in just a little while. Thank you, Andy. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe they were in delay, and maybe it would cause howl round. Not sure. But that's the only answer I can come up with. It's very random for them to do that, unless they know the person, they know what the person does, so have decided not to allow it. I've no idea. Stuart, evening, Rev. Now that you're back from Malta, I can now top up your hibiscus with the new bottle of Jaeger Bomb. Oh, I say, Stuart. I got you for your birthday. Oh, most kind, Stuart, most kind. I didn't have any bombs while I was in Malta Lake, and I haven't had anyone since I come back. But what's the old phrase? Is it feed a cold, starve a fever, or is it starve a cold, feed a fever? I can never remember which one it is, but either one, I'm giving it both goes. Honestly, when I woke up yesterday morning, honestly, my sphericals were larger than Barry White. I was like, oh, take away the pain, but leave the strong, deep voice, my lord. Sorry, the other bottles are gone. I needed them to cope, Mr. Bishop. Oh, has he been on to you again, Stuart? Oh, what's he like? Oh, what was I going to say? Hang on. I was going to mention something. I didn't note it. It was about Vickers and et al. Oh, yes. I've remembered now. Hang on a second. In amongst where? Oh. I know I wasn't saying anything there for a few seconds, but I think it's going to be funny. Thank you, Stuart. Paulie got the airy. Good evening, yeah, wrong'uns. Good evening, Adrian. Good evening, Paulie. Yeah, utter wrong'un. Andrew James says it's been all go since you've been away, Rev. We've had whist drives. Oh, I say, Andrew. What? Whist drives. We can't have any betting, gambling in the body of the Kirk. It's mind you, they'll apart from this particular Kirk, any other Kirk, they want to mess with your kids, and they say you can't gamble. Hang on a second. Which one's the worst? Whist drives, swinging on the chandeliers. Oh, I say, I do hope you were wearing underwear. You know what it's like when you start swinging from the chandeliers without underwear. Drafty. Coca-Cola enemas from in the field, cooking with 9 bars, and even our own hypnotic world of Paul McKenna. Has the hypnotic world of Paul McKenna been making you make noises like donkeys? Eeyore, eeyore, eeyore. According to Bishop, the Rev was in Camber Sands working at Pontins. I've got the yellow jacket to prove it, Andrew. Viv Kenyon, oh, evening ranting Rev and Rollins. Another fun-filled session ahead. Get comfy and enjoy the ride. Oh, I say, Viv and Darlow. How very, very. Hang on. The old Bovril has decided not to let me say that one. Tom Harney's, how do everyone? I have a feeling it could get extra ranty tonight. You never know, Tom. It always gets ranty when I decide to get ranty, but it's not a predetermined thing. It just if somebody's boiling my pish, then off we go. The Bovril, evening all, come off it, Starmer. She was not voice coaching you that Christmas Eve. That trumpet was coaching you in something else. Yeah, wrong, and we're going to talk about that. The Bovril, we're going to talk about that tonight. Good King Wenceslas last looked out on Starmer's front step. Doesn't really feel appropriate at this time of the year, does it? When it's chucking it down and wintry. The Bovril, now then, jingle jangle. Sir Jimmy Savile, OBE, KCSG. I have a letter here from His Majesty's prison, as it happens. Now then. Saying what? You going back in again? Oi. I would have thought that, the morgue was more your style, Sir Jimmy. Napoleon blown apart. Welcome into the body of the Kirk. Napoleon blown apart. Good evening, Reverend. Hope you're well, as always. It's chilly here. -2 here in Massachusetts. Great Bee Gees song. Do you remember that, Kenny Everett? Massachusetts. Going down to a snowy, icy -10. But people seem slightly more content with life, thanks to our amazing new president and Napoleon blown apart. I am going to talk about the Trump. Actually, we should do a Trump daily because he's literally flying, that boy. And his approval rating's going through the roof. So I am going to mention that and give you the stats in just a little while. Oh, the poor Democrats. Who would be the left? Who would be the left? Oh, by the way, someone says, Adrian, you only cough when you're drinking a hibiscus. So I'm having it's the same mug, but I am having, oh man, what's that? Lemsip. I'm having a lem sip. I'm not promoting them by any stretch of the imagination, but I just decided that I wanted to leave the Johnny Big Bollocks voice and make it a little more smooth for me to be able to talk and do the live tonight. Not quite sure how long the live's gonna last, but if you hear a couple of thuds and I'm no longer in vision, you know I've collapsed. Mind you, it would bring great jollity and hilarity to this house if I did that. So Napoleon Bonaparte, yes, we will talk about the mighty Donald in just a little while, because he's taken on the royal family, and he's not. I think Trump is just basically saying what we're all thinking. What a boy! And from what I gather, Ginger Sphericals has, well, he's had a swipe back. That boy. Another IQ point, he'd be a fucking fence post. Oh, sorry. Language, Timothy. Language. Napoleon Bonaparte, I'll have a word with the verger in the field. Hang on a second. In the field says, good day, folks. I've been having a walk around the grounds before taking a pew. Noticed that the bins are overflowing and hope they are emptied before I croak it. You wouldn't want to be buried in the body of the kirk when there's rubbish in the bins. So I think we need a good dumping of a load. Story of my life. Daphne Wimples, you had your fingers in lots of pies, Sir Jimmy. I think you might have been. Well, no, Adrian, you can't. You're an adult. You're not supposed to do teenage humour. Honestly, that's lovely. Nikki Watson, good evening all. Good evening, Nikki. Welcome to the body of the kirk. Tucker69's in the house. Evening, Adrian, and all you utter wrong-uns. It's been a while. I know. It feels like it's been an awful long. Oh, let's go to the bottom of the comments. It feels like it's been an awful long time since I've, been in my my cage, so to speak. And I have 3 layers and a scarf on this evening. Not that I'm ever going to bare me chest to you, you understand. But I just want you to know how unwell I am. Feel sorry for me. Nah, don't. Just take the piss. Just take the piss. I love it. Stuart says, hang on, what did Rich say? Makes a change from burgling Paul Young's house. Ooh, Rich, who burgled Paul Young's house? I know we've been talking about not Thomas Martin. I was having dinner just before I came on this live, and this cold, honestly, normally my brain is in situ and working, but trying to have a conversation over dinner, I was like, I can't remember that, I can't remember that, I can't remember that. So please forgive me. When I try to think of that chest needs rubbing by Vic. Oh, I say, Rich. What's her second name? Gino. And so every time I hear his name, I think Dexy's Midnight Runners. Now, I may be of a certain age, and I may be of an age being able to remember. Can you remember the Top of the Pops episode? And I was watching it live, where they were doing Gino. Jackie Wilson Says. And somebody in the Top of the Pops production office had gotten a picture of Jockey Wilson, the dart player, thinking that Dexy's Midnight Runners were singing Jockey Wilson, not Jackie Wilson. So Jackie Wilson Says suddenly became Jockey Wilson Says. Now, I don't know whether they did that on purpose, but that was bloody funny. That was funny. Because I remember looking at it going, why have they got a picture of Jockey Wilson in the... Oh, my God, they think it's Jackie Wilson. That's what you get from Southerners. Can't even bloody speak English. From the chair, arrested. Have you heard about YouTube Silver Fox getting a knock at the door because of the YouTube videos he made about Starmer? I'll be getting one every 5 minutes. I've seen Silver Fox hot takes. I've seen the video just after the cops arrived, and he was taken down to the local cells. Unsure what he's been... I can't remember what he's been charged with, but there is a reason why, even though you think I'm a bit of a ranting madman, why I do say things in the way that I say. So when I say queer Kia, queer as folk, because there's now as queer as folk, is there? It's an old English saying. That's why I say it that way. So there's a lot of YouTubers now who, where is it? I have a, I'll give my mate Paul, oh, I can't see it. I was speaking with my mate Paul recently, and he's one of the authors of a legal book for YouTubers and anybody that does this kind of stuff. Now, please don't think then that I am the arbiter of all, the font of all knowledge. I'm not. But, you know, you kind of get a grasp of things. So I cover my, well, I just do what I do because I know a little bit. I do feel sorry for Silver Fox Hot Takes because I saw a video after he did that, and this goes to all YouTubers as a friend. You've got to be very careful. You can't start tugging the tiger's tail unless you know what you're doing and you cover your backside. Oi, oi, oi. So I'll try and contact my mate Paul again and see if I can get him on the show to talk about the book. Because it's not one of these like legal books that barristers and lawyers use. Oh, how dull! But it's in street language. It's language that you would understand. It's easy to understand, and I think it's brilliant. Lauren Taylor says, "Get your heating on, sweat it out, hot toddies and an early night." Oh, Lauren, remember the Jockey Wilson gaff on Top of the Pops? I know, wasn't it brilliant? Wasn't it wonderful? Welcome to the body of the Kirk, Lauren, and to the Jacobite. I hope Lord Ali has got him a nice bike to see his voice coach. Seemingly, from my research, young Starmer the Shagger, because that's basically what he's doing in the country. So Starmer the Shagger, that's what he's doing in the country. He's been seeing this coach for 5 years. And the minute I found that out, I thought, Sakia, you need to get your money back, mate, because it didn't work. Whatever she was doing here didn't work. Unless, of course, you wanted to sound nasally and like Joe Pasquale. But I am going to talk about that and Starmer because I've worked it all out. I've worked it all out. In just a little while. Tower Block Tracy. Bonnie Blue was my work experience trainee. Have you noticed how Bonnie Blue and the other girl, Phillips, how they've disappeared? Because I was just thinking today, so these rape gangs in the north are raping white females. And now we've got these two clowns showing the world what white females do. I mean, they're not my kind of girls, but they're at least 1,000 men kind of girls. It's I do hope she wasn't charging you too much, Tower Block Tracy. Paulie Galtieri, hang on a second. Oh, God, bloody hell, man, slow down. Paulie Galtieri says, Black Belt barrister keeps advice, but he's still the establishment gatekeeper. Well, yeah, he's a barrister. He's a barrister. And they're not in it for free. They're not in it to have any integrity. They're in it for the money. The money. I mean, have you ever met a poor barrister? Me neither. And even lawyers, they don't even like each other. They're in the same industry. They don't even like each other. So, I mean, to be fair, Black Belt Barrister's channel is very, very good. A lot of people. He's heading towards 1 million subscribers. So he does a lot of great work in bringing the law, the legalese to the man and woman on the street. Because let's face it, me and you, we haven't got a clue. But he does a lot of good work, and he's a brother in martial arts. Mine is ninjutsu. Look, I think his is Krav Maga, which is cool, but not quite ninjutsu. But everybody says that. You know, there's a martial art for everyone. But I wish Black Belt Barrister well, because he's giving a lot of great advice, sterling advice, to a lot of people who wouldn't know any different. Nicholas, a lot going on in the world. This has been our new lab puppy weekend, up to my neck and pissing shit. Brilliant, Nicholas. Brilliant. Well, just make sure it knows where to go and piss and shit, and not in the bedroom. Can you imagine? You've got to dominate a dog, because it's got to know that you're the owner, you're his gaffer, that he's got to kowtow to you. You're the leader of the pack. Cool dogs. Love them. Have had far too many as ex-girlfriends. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry, thinking aloud there. In the field, YouTuber arrests are clearly for fear-mongering in an attempt to silence the unwanted opinion. All very tedious. Yes. Very, very tedious. Swear I'm going to get through this live whether it kills me, and it probably will. Johnny Ray Starmer's oral antics on Christmas Eve. Needs to know how to pucker on Christmas Eve, though. Surely you'd be wanting to be with your kids. You don't think? So he's been with her 5 years. How does that work then? 5 years, no change in your vocal coach, in your vocal abilities. Peter Sadler, evening Adrian and chat. Evening Peter, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Thank you Johnny Ray. Alan, Starmer and his pegging lessons. Oh, I say, one can say that, Peter Sadler, but I can't possibly comment. Hope it's not wooden. Sorry, that was Alan. I apologise, Peter. Hayden, maybe there is credence that Starmer was having marriage troubles. What's your source for that, Hayden? So I think we've got over 200 people viewing. So smash the likes on your way in. You're wrong. Tough audience again this evening. But I do believe that what we're going to talk about this evening might just entertain you a little bit. So next live, as long as I don't die in the meanwhile, I'm not tempting fate at all, is going to be Wednesday, the 12th. Have I done that? Honestly, my brain today, yes, I have got that. So the next live is going to be Wednesday. Thank you to the legendary Battenberger Stuart, who continues to support the channel. Thank you, Stuart, as always. And I have to say that YouTube honoured me to start memberships. Now, I know it means that memberships get kind of free product, free creativity for their membership. But according to YouTube, I should have memberships. So we will see. We will see. We are, I mean, I know it's a very slow and laborious process. Somebody else messaged me on X talking about somebody who's going to be let out soon. With he's written 6 books. Can I tell you something that nobody else is telling you? Oh, he's going to blow the whistle. On what? Just remember that the convicted stalker couldn't wait for his day in court. And when he got his day in court, he didn't have a brief, a lawyer, a barrister. He didn't have anybody. He wasn't attacking the BBC. He wasn't having his day in court. And now it's the same old grift. It's the same old, same old. Now, whether you decide to buy the books or go to the shows or put cash in the buckets that are at the front of the stage, because they were spotted by somebody that I trust with my life. He's on the grift. Now, remember, the convicted stalker in Nottingham Magistrates, while I was sitting in court watching him on a live link from prison, said his barrister on his behalf, good mates with Black Belt barrister, his mate, the barrister, says, oh, Your Honour, because Nottinghamshire Police wanted £20,000 in costs from the convicted stalker. And what happened? Nothing. His barrister says he's got no way of earning when he leaves prison. Well, that evidently was an untruth, Your Honour, because he's doing 2 tours and 6 books. Well, of course, they've got to sell. But he instructed his barrister to tell the court that he had no way of earning any money when he left jail. So the judge awarded 400 quid to Nottinghamshire Police, not 20 grand. So so he said he was going after the BBC and Nottinghamshire Police. It's the same old grift. Where's the money gone? The money that he was wanting you to donate for his legal fees, where did it go? How much did he make and where did it go? He won't answer those questions. Of course not, because he wants you, because you're stupid, you're as thick as pig shit. He knows that you'll do it again. And yet nobody is coming out and saying, actually, hang on a second, mate. And the other thing that I know, for absolute shit sure, forgive the potty mouth again, I've got a little bit of space thanks to Stuart. I know that when he needed stuff writing, he didn't do it himself because he can't. He's got a great memory. He's got an insane memory, a bit like Bob Monkhouse had. And he got someone else to do the writing for him. So I'm thinking, has he done it in crayon? And remember, I know him and have done for many years, which is why I don't have anything else to do with him. Someone asked him where the money has gone. He said it was gone to charity, and he said, are you a mental type? Are you hard of thinking? And cut her off. Well, hard of thinking is actually a Scotty McClue saying. So he's still, well, he just thieves from everybody else. He's like a magpie. He doesn't know the terms on his license. I agree, Terry. However, on top of which, he does have court orders against him, which include mentioning his victims. He's got 10 non-molestation, for want of a better term. He's got 10 orders against him. Protection orders against him. He's got the 8 victims in the court case and 2 others that were added whilst I was in Nottinghamshire Magistrates Court. I'm not going to mention their names because they said they didn't they didn't want anything more. It was causing them trauma and grief. So I'm not going to add to that. But there's a lot. I mean, when he was jailed and was then going to appeal his sentence, he was told by the highest of high, the judge made a mistake, Bonnie lad. You decide to appeal this, we're going to add time onto your sentence. Don't you understand? And sure enough, I'm sure somebody who's brighter than him must have given him very wise counsel and said, I wouldn't if I was you. And he didn't. Andrew James, can you retell the story where you took him to see Bernard Manning? Oh, no, it'll just traumatise me again. But I literally can still see the dive that we sat in to have fish and chips, my reward for doing 100-odd mile round trip for him. Paulie Galtieri, surely he can't tour when on licence. Well, don't you understand? That's why he's done it now. He thinks that he can get away with anything that he wants. Let's just see what report the parole officer or parole department sets. Because he's telling everyone, I'm not a threat to anyone. Yeah, he might not be a threat, but he's clever that he'll try and get his flying monkeys to do it. So let me tell you that when you are released from prison on license, it is you or an agent in your stead. I mean, it's kind of him or an agent in his stead. I'm just changing the vernacular slightly. But his license will mean that if anybody does anything around anything to do with the case and other people connected with him, then he will go back to jail. It's really that simple. He can't fart without permission. And when he leaves jail, he's not going home. He'll go to like a bail hostel. He'll go to a bail hostel probably for about a month because people need to watch him. And when he does his live work, I can guarantee you he will be under observations. Can't tell you any more than that. But this boy thinks he's the smartest man in the room. He's just done 2.5 years, or he's doing 2.5 years inside, with an extra 3 waiting for him. Now, if he doesn't do anything for 2.5 years and then drops a bollock, technical term in the legal profession, then he's going back and serves the full 3 years. It's not like, oh, well, he's nearly finished his extra 3 years on license. At any point in that license agreement, you do something and you breach them, you go back in and you do the rest of your term. So, my view, he's not going to stay out of jail. Unless, of course, he decides that he's going to play ball. He's going to make as much money as he can over 18 months, and then he's going to skedaddle. Now, he can't get out of the country because there's a lot of places around the world you can't travel to, nor can you get a visa to, because you've been sentenced to over 5 years. So he's not going to America again. Unless he goes and gets on his knees and starts begging again. Well, it's not a Democrat government in America anymore, so getting on your knees is not going to get you anywhere. I mean, if you look at the 2 gayers that were banging and taking photographs in the Senate, and nothing was done about that. Holy, can you imagine? 2 blokes shagging in the Houses of Parliament. They're all at it. Terry Woofit, no, he will be allowed to go straight home. Terry, no, he will not. No, he will not. Take it from my personal experience. If he goes straight home, they will not have any kind of control over him. Unless, of course, they don't have spaces in the bail hostels. They have control via his ISP to that particular address, so they can look at what he does and doesn't do. And I will tell you, I am very, very aware of people that are out on or were out on license, and they couldn't have any access to the internet. And sure as eggs are eggs, there was one day they were on the internet and they got lifted. And this is not a, oh, hello, Mr. Allen, would you like to come with us? It's like, these are your license conditions. We have found this, so come with us, we're taking you and we're going to charge you. Oh, sorry, straight recall to prison. Vix Tex, beautifully prescient. Pride goeth before a fall. Terry says, reoffend, probably not. Break his license agreement, yes, probably. That's exactly what I'm saying, Terry. He won't reoffend because the license conditions are going to be so tight. That's the reason why he's told you and put the video up there. I don't know what this particular prison governor is on about or is doing, because surely he would want to protect the victims in the case as per his 10 orders, 10 protection orders. Surely the governor would know. But as I say to you, this boy thinks he's the cleverest boy in the room. And he continues to want to be taking on the BBC and taking on Nottinghamshire Police. What the actual... So this is how clever he is. So he wants to take on Nottinghamshire Police. And which constabulary he released into the area of? Nottinghamshire Police. So those boys and girls, you don't tug the tiger's tail unless you know you've got protection, and he's got zero, zilch, nix, nada, nout. So how does Alex think he's going on tour on August the 2nd? He must have sought info beforehand. Well, somebody's setting it up for him. I have a pretty good idea who it is. But prior to that, the theatres will be rented out pretty much for the whole of 2025. So he's had to do it in 2024 somehow. And 2026, he's doing one. August 25, he's doing another. And I think he's doing 2 Gobshites live with Katie from Easter 2026. And that is dependent on, again, some theatres won't touch him. Because they'll say, look, no, you're convicted. Felon. The stuff on the website was posted by HP. Who's HP? It may have been after discussion with Belfield, but a lot won't have been agreed. Let me tell you something. A lot of people have forgotten what he promised on the second civil case, the second defamation case, in which and at which he confirmed that he lied. He confirmed to the court that he lied. He did the same with Jeremy Vine. So this is not only a convicted stalker, quite a prolific convicted stalker, but he's a self-admitted liar to 2 separate courts of law. And he also said that he would publish on his website an apology to the DC in the case that was taking him for defamation. Has that been done? No. So could they hold him in contempt of court, promising one thing and then not doing that thing that he promised to a court of law, a civil court of law, the High Court in London? I think somebody might have a word. Hopkins is of the opinion that she has great relationships with some theatres and can get folk bookings. I'm sure. So if she's got great relationships with theatres, how come she can't get bookings at certain theatres that won't touch her with a barge pole? You see, it's all controlling the narrative. If they say it, if you say a lie long enough, people believe it's the truth. And it's not. So there are things that people have forgotten in 2.5 years. I haven't. Even when I've got a stinking cold. Oh, HB's his producer. The guy who held his camera and looked after his website, took his YouTube videos after he went down. Yeah, I think that they set them up, Terry. I have said all the way along from the very beginning, he was a friend of mine. And I was his first stalking victim. It was just by good fortune and luck that I worked it out. Yeah, Tarquin. And they watch this. They watch everything that I do. There are certain people that watch everything that I do connected with the convicted stalker. And they can watch as much as they want. It makes no difference to me. I've not done anything for, nigh on a year in relation to him. And people are still obviously sending me stuff when they find stuff. And I'm apart from this live, I'm not sure. I was thinking about doing a series in 4 videos, because there is a truism or a truth in that he's going to tell you it was like being on a cruise. It's not. He was moved. Don't know why he was moved. I don't have that corroboration, but he was moved to a really shitty jail. They only do that if you're not playing ball. And halfway through your sentence, you are supposed to, with help from psychologists, psychiatrists, like clever, brainy people, they want you to meet yourself halfway through and acknowledge what you've done. He's not done any of that. He's just like, you. I'm just going to get through this, and I'm really clever. Me? Really clever. Well, he's not. He's not very bright. That's why he's not very good at writing. If we're talking about him, plagiarism is writ large. He stole your persona. Of course he did, Lauren. He's also stealing Bob Monkhouse's gags. He's stealing camp gags from the 70s. He's stealing, the irony is that he's stealing Bernie Keith's radio persona. He's also Scotty, me, Bernie, Manning, definitely Bob Monkhouse. He stole a shit ton of Bob Monkhouse's stuff. Because once it's out in the public domain, it's very difficult for talent to be able to protect themselves. But that's what I've done. I haven't brought it here. So I do hope he doesn't try to yank my chain, because I've protected my stuff. All of it. And I've said to you before, Lauren, the reason why I didn't put my stuff up online was because there was a day where a real dear friend of mine, Dean, he rang me up and said, Ia, who's this bloke on BBC Radio Derby that's trying to impersonate you? I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, there's a guy on BBC Radio Derby. He's literally doing the phone-in that you did a year ago on LBC. Really? Yeah. Go and find out who it is. And have a guess who it was. The convicted stalker. So, I will maintain that from the beginning, when he was sent down, he'd had no guidance, he'd had no protection, he had loads of people feeding off him, and his ego got the better of him. And he had the very thing that he'd always wanted. So I would hate to think, as I would with any human being, I would hate to think he's going to come out of jail and people are going to feed off him and feed off him and feed off him and feed his ego, feed his ego, feed his ego until it's full of hubris. And as Vic's text said, pride cometh before a fall. I don't wish that on anyone, but I will literally give you a pound or a penny bet that that boy goes back in because he doesn't know when to stop. A bit like Katie. You know what I'm saying. Impersonation is a serious form of flattery. I can't get that. But theft is theft, Johnny Ray. Alan and Carol Vordenauks, the Jacobite. Because Tarquin didn't get charged for any crimes. Funny old thing. He may have acted as agent for the convicted stalker, but think the stalking was more personal thing for him. I agree. But because the courts are overrun, and I didn't particularly want to talk about this evening, because the courts are overrun, and you have to understand also that public services are lazy. If they don't have to do any work, they won't. So judges are overrun. They don't want to work hard for their money. No, the courts, they don't want to work hard for their money. So nobody's going to monitor him when he comes out. But if somebody can prove to the system that he's breached his license, his feet won't touch the floor. I promise you. And I don't want that for him. I want him to recognize who he is, recognize what he's done. The hero's journey, Joseph Campbell. A man has to meet himself along his journey to understand who he is. Once he's met himself, then do things, retribution for his actions. And I do hope that when he watches this, because I'll guarantee you, he won't be able to stop himself from watching all the stuff that I've done. I do wish that he understands that he was inside because of his own actions, not those of anybody else, not the BBC, not Nottinghamshire Police, nor anyone. But you know all these people, I will add this comment, all these people who said, oh, I give them this money and I give them that money, and they were all using it, they were all grifting online. None of them reported him to Action Fraud. Now, why would you not do that if you had given him money? And fraud can be defined by not using the money for which it was intended. So if he was saying he was going to sue the BBC and didn't, that's fraud. If he said he was going to sue Nottinghamshire Police, that's fraud. But again, I will reiterate this to you. He's doing the same grift that he did just before he went in because he knows it's highly lucrative. People are stupid, thick as fuck. They literally, you will give them a narrative, promulgate this narrative, and then all of a sudden, you're making shit tons of money. But I will tell you this again. Where's the money? I'll ask you. You can ask him when he comes out. Where's the money? What did you do with it? It didn't go to charity. It didn't. You made far too much money. Tell us how many bank accounts you've got. Tell us how much money went to each of these bank accounts, including up to the 400 grand in one bank account in the Champagne Sippers that we're aware of. And what about all the stuff that went into the Lamley that hasn't been traced? He and they were awash with money. I also want to ask his business partner, how much did you make? Because I work with his business partner at Century 106. How much did you make? Did you go halves? Or did he take all the money and you getting on? Terry Wookford says, yes, he got reported to Action Fraud and they still have an ongoing case against him. Really, Terry? 2.5 years down the line and they haven't been able to put a case together. I will say this, though. that the way action fraud works, action fraud is the national lead for action fraud is the City of London Police. So it'll all get reported to the City of London Police. And then if there's any local victims, they are passed back to the force of that area. So if it's in Nottingham, it'd be Nottinghamshire Police, Derbyshire Police, Leicestershire Police, around the East Midlands. It could be all over the UK. It won't go to America. It won't go outside of these islands. And if they have put a case together and it's gone to the CBS, they might turn around and say, not a case. We can't be guaranteed a conviction. So all that money. And in my naivety, I'm suggesting to you that he made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. So that's why he's going to grift. It's far too lucrative not to. He'd be an imbecile if he wasn't going to do that. But he did tell the court that he had no way of earning any money when he left prison. So he either lied to Nottingham Magistrates Court, or that's the truth. There isn't 400 grand in champagne sippers, only about 219 grand in there. That's because, Terry, when he went inside, there was 400 grand's worth, 379, 380 grand. That's not an inconsiderable sum. And even if it's 380 grand, it's better than a kick in the bollocks. But he's had to pay out twice, 2 cases. 1, Jeremy Vine, and 2, DC Janet Percival of Nottinghamshire Police. So he's had to pay them both compensation, both legal fees. But I mean, I'm surprised that the Champagne Sippers wasn't wiped out completely. But I do have a question, though. Champagne Sippers, if it's a civil case and that's his professional account, surely he can't use his professional account, or can he, to pay off the findings of a civil court action. They won't do him while he's in prison. Wait till he gets out, then go visit and get copies of his company accounts from source. Interesting, Terry. You've got a good handle on this particular case. So we'll wait and see. We shall wait and see. As I say, and I will reiterate to kind of round this off, I wish him well. What he's been through is not easy. Even if he's trying to make out that it's easy, it's not at all. Desperate for people to write to him. No. Katie's going to make money out of him. He's going to make some money. But it's all dependent on his license agreement. All of it. He might not be able to go from stage. He might not be able to write books. So he's going to expose the BBC. And he's written, remember, past tense, written the books. So he's going to publish one as soon as he comes out. Because he knows a crayon book sells. And people are going to buy it just because he's a freedom fighter. He's a political prisoner. My hairy backside. Tommy's a political prisoner. The convicted stalker. He's making it up as he goes along. He's not a political prisoner at all. He's befallen his own stupidity. He can pay himself, but he's taxed on that, of course, Rich. The whole cruise thing was just a way of getting people to believe that he can cope with anything. He can't cope with anything. He's from a pit village, but, he, from being a child, was made to feel different. And I would suggest to you that living in a pit village is no guarantee of being able to deal with and survive and or thrive in jail, where it's full of some very tasty people. And how do I know that? I'm from a place that's full of very tasty people. You don't go to Sunderland on holiday. You said he was a vulnerable prisoner. I never said he was a vulnerable prisoner, Stuart. I would suggest he has vulnerabilities because he hasn't been categorized as a vulnerable prisoner. And I'm not in the system to be able to say he's a vulnerable prisoner. I would suggest that he is vulnerable, but not in a technical term, a vulnerable prisoner. Lots of celebs set up a PLC and then set themselves up as a consultant. They pay themselves as little money as possible to avoid income tax and not national insurance. So I will reiterate. He needs to come out, he needs to get his head down, he needs to do some honest reflection, and he needs to stay away from getting himself put back inside. But there is every chance that that's where he's going. Lauren Taylor, can we stop talking about him? More interesting pillocks to discuss. The whole bloody government. Right, we'll get on to that then, you're wrong. So I'm going to talk tonight about corruption, because there's tons of it. I'm going to talk about Valentine's Day. Is it a thing anymore? Or is this just another tent pole in the supermarkets and or shops going, oh, it's Valentine's Day, time to buy something, anything, cards, flowers, anything. Otherwise, I'm thankful that the new Mrs. Allen, and that's why she's the new Mrs. Allen, we have an agreement. No bollocks on Valentine's Day. No bollocks. Simply because I will not be told what to do by the sheeple. I won't. And there's 365 days of a year. Why can't I do that any other time of the year? And I do. Rich, pay yourself $1,000 a month and it's tax-free. Oh, lovely, lovely. Yeah, because you're allowed 12,750 before you pay tax. That's your allowance. I'm going to talk about Starmer and the voice coach. Going to talk about Trump. He's just such a legend. I'm going to talk about Led Zeppelin. Don't know whether anyone's a fan of Led Zeppelin or know their music. But this afternoon I went to see the new Led Zeppelin film, Becoming Led Zeppelin. I'm going to give you my takeaway at the end of it. Yeah, exactly. Terry Wookfit encompasses Valentine's Day. Show your love every day as opposed to storing it up for one day. Exactly. But a lot of people are not in a relationship that's based on love. Maybe lust, if you watch Love Island. So firstly, I'm not going to kick off because it's not worth the kick off, but walked in, I thought, oh, I'll have a large popcorn. Yeah, keep me going for a couple of hours. Walked up and said, how much is your popcorn? She went, £7.80 for a large, £6.80 for a medium, and £5.80 for a small. You know what came out of my mouth, don't you? Bloody hell, at least Dick Turpin wore a mask. £7.80p for something that costs them buttons. And they wonder why people don't go to the... People are not going to the cinema. And we went to the IMAX to watch this. And I will tell you this as a word to the wise. No need to go to the IMAX to watch the Led Zeppelin film because the sound isn't good enough to be in an IMAX. I could have gone to a cinema, half the price, and got just as good sound. They don't tell you that. So £7.80 for a large popcorn, and I saw by the promos that come on before the film, it's almost a feminization. I'm really not interested in Bridget Jones shit. I'm not. I'm really not interested in knowing that Pamela Anderson has not been wearing makeup for however long just to promote this new film called The Last Showgirl. Now, okay, it might be a career-defining role for her, but... And I get it that it's coming up to Valentine's Day, so some of the lads might be, oh, darling, I'll take you to the cinema. Or you put yourself through Bridget Jones. That is definitely taking one for the team. And then, just before the film started, this thing came up, like Bollywood thing. And it says, Cineworld, home of South Asian cinema. And I thought, is everybody going to get up and start dancing? It's a music film. How very dare they? I'm not going back there again. To have that woke shite shoved down my neck. It's the home of South Asian cinema. Fuck off. So if you're a fan of Led Zeppelin, you'll love all the power chords. They're all in there. Well, what they didn't tell you, and I am going to spoil it, but I'm not going to spoil it. So if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you were going to go and see the film, shut your ears off, or just go and make a cup of hibiscus or something, or go to the toilet for drop the kids off or something, because you will hear lots of power chords. And I'll give you my takeaway right at the very end of this, because I worked something out. Now, I was I love Led Zeppelin. Love Led Zeppelin. My three favourites are Immigrant Song, Kashmir, and Black Dog. Yeah, you can have your Stairway to Heaven and stuff. And a whole lot of love. But they only do the music from the first two albums. So no physical graffiti. None of the other, like, huge tunes. And I was gutted. I came out. And I said, all the power chords were there. Becoming Led Zeppelin was all of the story of them meeting and getting to know each other and how they came together as a band, which is fantastic. If you're a fan, as I say, you'll hear lots of power chords. If you're not a fan, you'll hear lots of power chords. Would I go and see it after seeing it? No. Because you're kind of sitting watching it and it stops dead right at the end. There's almost an edit point. It's almost like they decided to have an intermission and then somebody saying, well, why don't we release a part 2? Double bubble. Within the film, they make the point of Led Zeppelin getting to the number 1 in the album charts, beating the Beatles. So they went to number 1 as the Beatles came off number 1. They didn't talk about... So all 3 of the alive members of Led Zeppelin kind of told their stories. They found this interview with John Bonham that said it's not been heard before. So who bloody interviewed him then? But obviously you can't, because Bonham died in 1980, and we'll get to that in a moment. It's the backstories of how they met. Songs only up to Zeppelin 2. So the Zeppelin 3 for Physical Graffiti, House of the Holies, loads of them. But they didn't, as I say, my favourite songs, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, Kashmir. And in my view, Zeppelin were done by 1976. I mean, they came out the back end of the 60s. They were done by 76. They continued until Coda in 1982. Don't think that was their best work. The best work was kind of early to mid 70s. Bonham died aged 32, and he drank the equivalent in 24 hours of 40 shots. That's the equivalent to 1 to 1.4 litres of 40% vodka. Oy, 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 oy. That's hitting it large. After which he vomited and choked. Now, that's a condition known as pulmonary aspiration. And the finding was it was accidental death. So, would I recommend it? No. My head says no, but my heart says yes. The sound wasn't great in the IMAX that I was at, and my ears loves sound. So, fill you in. Over the Hills and Far Away is a good Zeppelin song. I'm thinking of Iron Maiden. Tar Block Tracy. John O. Smith. Hi, Adrian. Often cycle past John Bonham's grave in Rushock near Kidderminster. Beautiful place. I often stop. John O. He was an amazing drummer. And you can hear they were both Jimmy and Robert Plant. I mean, Robert Plant is such a funny guy, but he was... See, that's where the term cock rock comes from. Robert Plant. Him, you know, just being... a cockerel on stage. So that's where cock rock comes from, and there were part of the film, there was women in America going, oh my God, you're so handsome, you're so sexy. I mean, Robert Plant was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, thanks very much, missus. He was married with a kid at the time. Alan says, I'll wait till it comes to Netflix. Yeah, do that, Alan, because I think there's going to be a second one. Because they've still got another 3 great albums, and I think they've done enough material to release a second film. Whether it's for Christmas next year, who knows? But because they cut it so short, I mean, literally, bang, Jimmy Page says something, bang, it's finished. I was like, oh, hang on a second, what's going on here? No sort of easing us gently into the exit. No, just gone. So I think some of their greatest songs are still to come. Definitely. They'll do a part 2. Somebody in the mainstream press needs to have a word with them and say, lads, are you going to do a second one? Tom Harney's, as Mr. Plant says, he was a golden god. Yeah, you can see it. I mean, the women loved him. And there's a great book called Hammer of the Gods that I read a long time ago, 20 odd years ago, about what Led Zeppelin got up to. And I had to explain to the rest of the family that Led Zeppelin was basically shagging in gear. I'm sure Jimmy Page has admitted to being addicted to certain stuffs, but all I'll say is, if you know the legends of Led Zeppelin, you'll know the legend of the Red Snapper. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, although we have got Battenberg here, so... maybe I'll read the book and then quote from the book. So I've got it here in my archive somewhere. But those boys. I think that's why Bonham used to miss his wife terribly. And he was best mates with Keith Moon. A couple of drummers at large. And 40 shots, man. That was... Oy. I mean, even I know from the northeast, you have to eat something to soak stuff up. But I was expecting more from the film, wanted more from the film. Love the band, love the legends, love Page's guitar playing, love Plant's wailing vocal. But as much, I love John Bonham's drumming, which is insane. And I love John Paul Jones' bass playing, because he's a talented guy. So it was just that perfect coming together of catching starlight in a bottle. Wonderful. But I would wait. Andrew James. Led Zepp even fed live fish to groupies. They did. That's why I've mentioned the Red Snapper legend, and it wasn't on a plate for them to eat. Let's just say, because I'm probably not going to be able to monetize this bit, in Hammer of the Gods, the roadie that wrote it explained that they gave a red snapper to a ginger groupie. Red snapper for a red snapper. That's the direct quote from Hammer of the Gods. Honestly, those boys, I mean, it was, they had their own massive big Boeing. They were at the top of the rock god tree. You couldn't get any bigger or higher. And I mean, I'm sure that a lot of what they did's been sanitized for future generations by a long stretch. Andrew James, spoiler, the fish died. Didn't come up for air, that's for certain. Terry Wookfit, what? You never missed. Right, so Led Zeppelin film. My recommendation. My head says no, but my heart says go and watch it. Go and watch it. if I'd had someone like me that had watched it, and I'd asked them, should I go and see it, and they said yes, and I came out afterwards, would I be annoyed? No. But I know they're better than that. They are lifting the veil slowly. They can't do all of it because Jesus. What can I say? How can I say this? Young Jimmy, the guitarist, was well known for certain peccadillos. That's all I'm going to say. He won't want that bringing back out into the open. But I can't even remember whether I told you this at the beginning of this live. Driving in West Wales, in between, the first lockdown and the second lockdown. So 2020 to 21, I think it would have been the summer of 21. We're driving around these country roads, and I saw this, I wasn't going very fast, but I saw this woman walking towards me in a bit of, she was upset-ish, probably throwing a bit of a strop. And I thought, ooh, do I stop? Do I help her? I'm in the middle of nowhere, what do I do? And next thing I see, out of the corner of my eye, Jimmy Page, literally walking into this house. And she must have thrown a strop and stormed off. And he's walking in, he eyeballs me, I eyeball him, and he smiles. And then makes it in, goes into the cottage or whatever it was. And I thought, West Wales? Surely not. Jimmy Page. He's got a house like this mansion, this super massive mansion in London. And I understand some of the stuff he's into. I know he's into the esoteric deeply. But was I going to stop? Thought about it. But fancy just randomly coming across Jimmy Page in West Wales as we were driving to the coast in West Wales. Fabulous. We'll get to the Trump Daily in a moment. We're going to talk about royalty, because that is as funny as. And do you know Hannah Ingram Moore was on GB News earlier? I haven't seen it yet because I was preparing for this live. But at which point isn't someone going to tell her, Hannah, mate, stop. We don't believe you anymore. Well, I don't, in my view. Stuff that happened to Sir Tom Moore's house and swimming pool and the old boy. And the proceeds from his book. Oh, my dad says we could have it. I'm going to do a video tomorrow because I've had a word with the bishop this week. And the bishop has said, well, look, Reverend Alan, if you wish to go for it, then please make yourself available for it. And I said, oh, right, Bishop, thanks very much. So what am I talking about? Do you think God upstairs, if he's upstairs or downstairs, or he's omnipotent, omnipresent, so he's not going to be upstairs or downstairs, he's going to be omnipresent everywhere. He might turn around at me and say, right, Reverend Alan, I think that you as the Archbishop of Canterbury would make a fine and dandy Archbishop. So I'm going to make a video tomorrow, and I'm going to look for your support. I'm going to look for your votes, or however it is. But I'm going to work out how I can apply for the Archbishop of Canterbury. Because I know that God's not sitting upstairs with his grey beard and his white robes and his wings, and he's playing his harp and he's got his halo going on. He's not looking down and going, oh, you utter wrong-uns. Because I went into the cathedrals in Malta, and let me tell you, the entity that created the heavens and the earth will still charge you €6 to go into his cathedral. Now, how the bloody hell does that work? Some people may say he wants the roof fixing, as we do in the body of the kirk. We've got a bigger potty mouth receptacle than we need lead. But at the same time, if he's omnipresent, everywhere, at all times, ever, and he created the heavens and the earth, what the bloody hell does he want €6 for me to go into his house for? Somebody said, well, they've got so much gold, maybe it needs polishing, your reverend. He created the heavens and the earth. He could just go, oh, shine a bit more. Poof. Taken care of. So, oh, excuse me. That's why I'm going to see what the application form is. See what the application process is, and I might just, And talking of Malta, it was the St. John's Cathedral that asked me for €6. Did I find anything Templar? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The fortifications used in the Grand Harbour are definitely Templar technology. Oh, definitely. And so they became Templar, Knights of St. John, who suddenly only appeared in the 1500s, and then they became the Knights of Malta, who are still around. I think they're in Italy somewhere, but they're still around, still a thing. But the Knight Templars, they were Palestine, Rhodes, everybody forgets Cyprus, and Malta. So the Knight classes only reappeared in 1530. And when you go to any of the kind of touristy stuff, they go, oh, yes, the Knights Templar after the First Crusade. And then First Crusade, 1079. And then, oh, we're at 1530. So what are they hiding in between 1079, the First Crusade, and 1530? I've told you before, because the Templars decided they didn't want to be burned at the stake for heresy. That's why nobody knows anything about them between sort of first-ish crusade and then 1530 in Malta. I should write a book, I swear. So the Donald, Meghan the Markle has received president disapproval. He's said, bloody hell, I mean, I'm not going to deport him. No. I mean, he's saying what other people think. Prince Harry, I'm just going to leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible. And everybody around the world's going, bloody hell, the President of the United States, who, the byword is moderation and appropriateness. And he's come out and said she's terrible. And now, seemingly, Harry's had a swipe back. Oh, yeah, if anybody's going to call my wife, I'm going to stand up and... He's a cook. And that's not with two O's. She'll have said to him, oi, Harry, mate, defend me honour. Oh, all right, darling. I was ex-military, so I know how to do that. Bloody President Trump. No. We're Democrats. Hang on. You're apolitical. You're not supposed to get involved in the political process, even though your missus might wants to be President of the United States. Fanar. But the royals, it's a bit weird this week. I saw what was going on while I was away. I mean, obviously, the papers are slightly late in Malta. But there's Edward and Sophie in Tibet. Is that newsworthy? Or are they just measuring it by column inches now? There's William, Prince of Wales, #1 beardy. Never trust a man in a beard. I'm telling you. Because all of the heroes in the movies are clean-shaven. And a man with a beard is a man hiding something. So there's Prince of Wales, #1 beardy. And they've got David Beckham in there as like number 3 or 4. And I was in the top 10 of beardies. And I was thinking, hang on a second, he's a weft puppet now. What the bloody hell are we kowtowing to David Beckham? He seems to be kissing the king's derriere. Kissing the king's ring. And so he receives an award from WEF. How does that work? Even though they talk about his philanthropic work. What the bloody hell does that mean? Philanthropic work. My hairy backside. Didn't give any proof. But he got the Crystal Award from WEF. And there's Gary Neville, who's a lefty. He's in Davos. And somebody, I think I told you while I was away, somebody steps to him and goes, "Here, what are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, I'm meeting her." That's not clever, Gary, because we know why you were there. Your best mate's receiving an award from the World Economic Forum. So how does that bloody work then? Rich. Trump loves Scotland and the royals. I know he does. He's coming over here for another state dinner. Now, normally, you don't get 2 state dinners, but the Trump is. And Catherine, Princess of Wales, are we still bleating on about her supposed cancer? When we were told, and I've got the newspapers to prove it, we were told it was precancerous cells. She didn't have cancer. So why are the newspapers conveniently saying she had cancer? She didn't. So they're either lying now or they were lying last January. Either way, somebody's lying, and it's not me. So that's the royals for you. Do we want to go Starmer bashing yet? Yeah, why not? We'll get the USAID in a moment. We've got a kind of a big announcement for reform coming in just a little while. Farage and reform. Why? Oh, just stay with me, and I'll tell you. Big announcement coming. So Starmer and this voice coach. You should know more of the story than I do, because I've only really had 48 hours to catch up. But I just want to know, who paid for what? And who actually paid? Was it him? Is it on X's? Is it expenses? Is Starmer putting it on his... voice coach, yes, 5 years voice coach, so he needed some voice coaching because obviously standing at the dispatch box is going to take a lot of rigor on the old voice box. Christmas Eve, though, as I said earlier on in this live, what was that all about? Was he just trying to get his voice in the right place so that he could lecture to his kids on Christmas Day? I mean, remember, the thing that the press are missing, and they miss this every single time, is Starmer, his wife, Jewish, kids, Jewish, will celebrate Hanukkah. They don't celebrate Christmas. And he's a bloody Marxist. He doesn't even probably think that Jesus Christ was ever a thing, or a person, or a god, or anything. So Christmas Eve don't make any difference to him, other than getting like 3 months off for Christmas. So you've got a man that's giving a nod to Hanukkah and the kind of Jewish Christmas before the Christian Christmas said Christmas. So voice lessons for over 5 years. Are we not working this out yet? Have you not worked this out yet? It's a political equivalent of saying, oh, we're just friends. How many of your friends have been having it away? They turn around and go, no, we're just good friends. I mean, can you imagine what he must have sounded like before he had 5 years worth of voice coaching? Because I know what he sounds like now. Dalek. And who is she? Who is she? Who is she? And there was me thinking Sir Keir Starmer was a backdoor merchant. You know that Apple have been told by our government that they want backdoor access. Told you all along. Starmer's a backdoor merchant. His government wants access to your data via Apple. 2 billion people affected, seemingly. How can you tell the Labour Party are scared of Sir Keir Starmer? I'll ask you a question. How can you tell the Labour Party are scared of Sir Keir Starmer? 2-tier, free gear, queer, Starmer, queer as folk. And Shagger Starmer. Yeah, because he's doing to the country what? Well, he's doing exactly that to the country. So why do you think that the Labour Party are scared of Sir Keir Starmer? I'll tell you. I'm being facetious, but I will tell you. Stuttering Starmer flip-flops with the wind. He'll tackle out that blows his way. Or he'll blow anything that comes his way. Probably a big fan of Saturnalia or Yule. Yes, Des, quite. I agree with you. Saturnalia. Oof, that's a big rabbit hole to go down. I think we'll save that for another live, Des. Rusty Mass need encryption access. Yeah, they do, but they're after it. How can you be a voice coach when your mouth is always full? Chris Barlow, you can say that, but I can't possibly comment. I don't even know what you're talking about. Scared because the silence is deafening. No, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. Because if you notice how these things come out, not out, just out. Although, Sir Keir Starmer's case, the jury is out. And he's a barrister. He was once Director of Public Prosecutions. That's why they're scared of him. Because he knows the law. He knows his way around the law. That's why barristers get paid so flipping much. So why are the Labour Party scared of Sir Keir Starmer, and how can you tell? Just keep reading the newspapers. I mean, how many stories have you had over the last 7 to 8 months about Sir Keir Starmer? And he's the Teflon Don. None of it sticks. But the reason why I know the Labour Party are scared shitless of him is because these stories keep coming out. These stories want him gone. He's never going to resign. Don't be silly. Unless he has to, of course. And the voice coach is getting as close to resignation territory as is possible, other than how many kids have you got, Sir Keir, which he's not actually going to say to anybody. Or what's the size of your family, to be more accurate, in my view. And if he's got problems in his marriage, is it for us to know? No. But I'll tell you something else. If he's lying as a politician, and it's proven that he is, he shouldn't even be Prime Minister. But the Labour Party is scared witless, because if he finds out who's sticking the knife in, he'll be after them. And I've already told you that if he thinks that he's gone, and he's gone for good, he might take the Labour Party with him. He might call a snap election. Bringing us on to, said there was a big announcement. I would advise you to keep an eye on things, because Starmer can't keep taking this. He can't. Starling Starmer, says Alan. Andrew James, playwriter Joe Wharton, had a voice coach before fame. He sounded like his plums in his mouth, not for the first time either. You've got that, Andrew James. I mean, can you not remember the first time that David Beckham, hello, came out and spoke in public? Hello, I'm on Parkinson. Hello. Sounded just like that with a Cockney accent. He had to have voice coaching to help his bollocks drop. So David Beckham didn't once sound like that. No. Not at all. I've had work, darling. Yes, I'm a thespian. I've got my work is my philanthropy work is getting me awards. So thank you. When he first came out in public, it was Parkinson that got the first interview. He was coming out like that. Hello. You think I'm joking? So that's Starmer and the voice coach, and I was going to tell you that, and it always appears to be on a Sunday. I've no idea why they keep making these announcements, but they said that they had 150,000 subscribers. Some people call it members, some people call it subscribers, to the Reform UK party. It's been announced today that Reform surpasses 200,000 subscribers, or members if you want. Now, that's more memberships than the Conservatives. I think they were down at around 130. 100,000 less, give or take, than Labour. And this is from Nout. This is from zero. Zero to hero. And Kemi Badenoch is in denial. She's come out today and said, oh no, Reform UK are inflating their numbers. Do they have any idea? Who's put that? 200,000 at 25 quid. I know, Johnny Ray. Nice work if you can get it. The political classes have absolutely no idea what's going on the street. They're scared shitless. They're scared shitless to come out and talk to me and you. I could have told them that the Tory party and the Labour Party are finished, eviscerated, overdone, finished. Because people don't trust them. So there's been the Labour Party, whether it's Sir Keir, Ginger Growler, or Rachel from Accounts, they're all... David Lammy, don't even get me started on reparation for bloody Jamaica. I think that's a plant. I think that story's not going to fly. I think the whole country would turn against them. You know, when it's like people say, oh, white privilege. Well, look, I'm from Sunderland. And I remember the men coming up a mile from the bottom of the shaft and then 2 miles out to sea, hacking coal with their bare hands. And people call it white privilege. How do we and shite, man? These people are idiots. They're fools. They're clowns. They have no idea. Just because my face might be pink, when it's finished hacking a day's hard work in the bottom of a mine, in the bottom of a pit, it don't come out the same colour. White privilege, my hairy arse. So Lammy is saying, yes, well, they want 3 trillion. Whose trouser pocket is that going to end up in, David, mate? Because we're looking at America and we're seeing America for what it is, corrupt. We know that it's only a matter of time before that corruption focus becomes very concentrated on the Labour Party. So we want to know. We know that you all lie. We know that you get free clothes and freebie here and freebie there and freebie that. But we want to know. We know how the deal works with USAID now. You get the money out of the country. You get the taxpayers' money out of the country for any reason whatsoever. And then you just claw a little bit back. When there's billions upon billions upon billions of dollars have gone out of the country so that the Biden OCG can make a 10%. So this fool, David Lammy, is talking about reparation. That's not going to be allowed to fly. It's not. It's not. So with Reform reaching 200,000 subscribers, or members if you wish, and then Kemi Badenoch is saying, oh, they're inflating their numbers. Holy Jesus. We see through these intellectual pygmies. We see right through them. They're on the grift. So you know when Starmer, and I've said this to you before, and please remember, this is an historical document and will stay here. So in 20 years' time, when the shit hits the fan, they'll go, hang on a second, who gave him permission to give away £300 billion to Sniffy Zelensky and his wife's new Bugatti and his hotel in Eilat? And some YouTubers are talking about, the super party, the super union between Farage and Bojo the Clown. Well, Farage has come out just a couple of hours ago and gone, oh, here, lads, it's not going to happen. It's not going to fly. I'm telling you, no, Bojo is not coming over to Reform. They all lie until they get caught out. It's only when they get caught out. Should we talk about the wonderment that is Donald Trump? I said to you that he was the savior of America. I just didn't realize how humongous that statement was. Alan says, if Reform combined with the Tories, I shall foxtrot Oscar and vote for UKIP. Interesting, Alan. I think there's a lot of people with similar minds. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think Bojo the Clown, as much as he might want to get back into power, might want to be PM, and he might convince that young Nige, he might be the only chance, as in Bojo the Clown, for Reform to get into power and him to become Prime Minister. Nigel Green, good. I don't want Bojo with Reform. Fred Barker, Boris can do one. Agreed. So the stuff that's going on with Trump, and this is what's coming out of the polling in America. He's only been in power virtually 3 weeks. Only 3 weeks. Feels like he's been there forever, doing the right thing, of course. So Trump, as I said, with Harry, Prince Harry and his missus, he's saying what other people are thinking. So his approval rating, if you look at Starmer, it's down somewhere near minus 35, minus 40%. People hate him in this country. They genuinely hate him. And it doesn't matter what political hue you are. The people on the streets just hate him. They just hate him. Now, I haven't mentioned Southport today, although it is all over the Sunday papers. I just want to take a bit of time to digest what stories are being told and how and why, because the newspapers weren't allowed to report what was going on in Southport straight after the event. So Donald Trump, his approval rating is 53%. The best ever. According to CBS polling history, it's the highest ever, 53%. 70% of Americans believe he is fulfilling promises he made during his presidential campaign. So the Americans, and I'm sure Napoleon Bonaparte is still with us in the body of the Kirk. I wonder how the Americans are genuinely thinking, because the Democrats are quiet. Napoleon Bonaparte. If plans fall right, Donald will help more than just here in America. Fingers crossed, Napoleon Bonaparte. I am of the mind that because of what is happening in America, and normally it's 4 years later, I think two things are going to happen. Donald and the Republicans have to change the Constitution before the midterms so that he has enough Republicans in the Senate, excuse me, I'm going to have to take a drink of water, has enough Republicans in the Senate to make sure that this change to the Constitution goes through. Oh. Just keep thinking this lager, it'll work. So that the I do think that Trump will try and get the Constitution changed so that he can have two consecutive terms this time round. Because if he's doing it for America, the American people will call for it. It just goes to show what an inept and scarily incompetent government was in before him. I am going to get to USAID in a moment, but Trump's just telling it like it is. 3 weeks, and Elon Musk. So they can't have a go. The mainstream media can't have a go at at Trump. They've got to leave him alone for 100 days. So they're just attacking Elon Musk because he's uncovering tens of billions of dollars of corruption. So I think Napoleon Bonaparte's right. I think what's happening in America now is coming here in a couple of years. Certainly, at the end of this Labour government's tenure, they're finished. They've killed off the Labour Party. It doesn't take Einstein to work this out. They've killed off the Labour Party. The Tories have killed off the Tory Party. The Lib Dems and the Greens, in my view, they're also rans. So we need a saviour here. Best mates with Trump, Farage. Everybody's going to be trying to jump on that particular bandwagon. But I do believe that things here are going to change. And they need to change. Agree with the comments about Rupert Lowe. Rupert seems to be... He seems to be hitting a rich vein of support on social media, because he's just saying what the man and woman on the street are thinking. And that's very rare in politics. Very, very rare. Rupert Lowe keeps coming up. He's talking the right language. He's talking to the right people. I mean, I'm sure, not quite yet, but I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans coming up over the next 18 months or so. So they've all got to keep their nose clean. And there was polling that I saw this week that said that if there was a general election tomorrow, I think Reform were on 29% and Labour were on 25%. I think that's the highest that Reform have polled. It'll keep going up. The more that people get confident about talking about Reform and their voting intentions without them being attacked by the left, more people will say it. So I think the 29% is an underestimation by the polling services. Before we get to USAID, because some of it is mind-blowing, some of the stats are mind-blowing, I just want to tell you a story. At the moment, this government, and remember, inflation is government spending. So when they tell you inflation is going up, It's not because something that you and I have done, it's because of what the political classes have done. They never attribute it to anything other than, oh, inflation's going up. That's because of government spending. And a Labour Party spends on government. It spends on social services, on civil servants. They get this humongous body, this amorphous mass of civil servants to do their bidding. And what these uncivil servants are doing is, let's talk about benefits. Now, remember that we've got certain classes of people coming into this country and getting everything for free, whether it's hotels or cars or PlayStations now or mobile phones or cash every week. Wouldn't surprise me if they don't start putting hospitals in these hotels. So the benefit system, the banking system, which is going to change over the next 2 or 3 years, because they're going to go from fiat currency, which is your paper money and your coins, they're going to go from that to digital currencies. They'll do it slowly but surely. They'll implement it. But so when you get benefits, you have to sign a contract with the government. And within that contract, it gives the government permission to get access to your bank account. What am I saying? I'm saying the government wants access to your bank account, and the banks are allowing the government to get access to your bank account. Now, let me continue with this. So say, friend of a friend, 2 jobs, universal credit. She's got a couple of kids, so she's been working hard with her 2 jobs and her benefits. Doesn't make much, just makes ends meet, but like every month for the past few years, she's stuck a tenner away or 15 quid away a month. And it saved 500 quid, so she could take the kids away on a holiday. Considering the last 5 years, nobody could move anywhere. So having a little UK-based holiday with the kids, she saved up 500 quid. Somebody reported her. Nasty bastards. Somebody reported her. And there's always the curtain twitchers. There's always those people in the street that look round and go, ooh, ooh. It's like living in bloody Russia. So if anyone spending over £500 gets reported to the government. So she saved up over 3 or 4 years, just a little bit every month, put it into a little pot so she could take her kids away for a little holiday. And it was just over 500 quid. She spent it. But because it's the same bank account that she has her benefits paid into, you spend over 500 quid, gets reported by the banks to the government. So they only allow you a limit. Go over that limit, they will stop your money. So they stop the money. Accusing her, well, you've got 500 quid to spend on this. Well, no, we're not going to give you any more benefits until it comes back under a certain level, and then we'll start giving you money again. You know the repercussions of that. If the banks are in collusion with the government and you have one bank account and you can't save any money anywhere, anytime, because it's got to be in your bank account, they're going to nail you. Starmer's Marxist government. In essence, the banks are doing the government's business. I've already told you many, many, many times over the last couple of years while this channel's been going. Deniability. That's the word, deniability. The government needs to have deniability. So if the banks are doing it, the government just goes, not us, not us. The banks are doing it, not us. To answer a question earlier, so somebody says, Adrian, where'd you get that top from? No, it's not a Leeds United top. Can you see that? Davos Hockey Club. Bought it when I was in Davos. Because you can't get it online. Which is prima facie evidence every day that I've been to Davos. And I'm not making it up. Let's talk about USAID. Now, I've told you for God knows how long. Remember me saying the phrase OCG Biden? The whole bloody family's been on the take. And USAID? Oi, 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 oi. Do you know how much these people have been making? Now we know. Now we know how the system works. And bizarrely, nobody's made a video about this. Don't know why. Maybe they're not bright enough. But here's the deal. So the government spends money abroad. The money goes into NGOs, non-governmental organisations. Those NGOs might have somebody on the board that might just be an American politician, so that there's a little cream off the top. Thank you very much. So how do you think some of these politicians in America are multi-millionaires when they only earn 175 grand a year? He told us America would get involved in Gaza, and the oil turned out to be true. I know, Theo Bovril told you 18 months ago about the Gaza Strip, what exactly was going to happen. And remember that the Israelis and the Americans got caught with their fingers in the jar because they built a port halfway up the Gaza Strip off the East Mediterranean Sea, right near a military road, halfway up the Gaza Strip. And they built a port. And the Americans and the Israelis said, oh, no. This is for aid, for the Gazans. It's for aid. And then a couple of weeks later, it's all, oh, yeah, we've dismantled the port. What? 300 million quid it cost to build that port, and they dismantled it. Had to end shite. That port is for the gas and oil that's going to come out of the East Mediterranean and or under the Gaza Strip. But they can't tell you, oh, yeah, we've been doing some drilling and we found a bit of oil and a bit of gas, so we're just going to use that port there. 300 million. Either that, or they're telling everybody they've built a port. They haven't, and $300 million is going to disappear. So Barack Obama's mother worked for USAID. Really? The Bush family had interests in USAID. Really? Liz Cheney worked for USAID. Really? Can you see the pattern that's going on here? Can you not see it? Why do you think they want to crush Donald Trump? Because he's stopping their income. Well, he's not. Elon Musk is. As I say, Trump's got the deniability. Not me. It's Elon, man. Go and have a word with Elon. Thank you, Stuart. Go and have a word with Elon. And do you notice? A, we knew what was coming, because he said in his first term, I'm going to drain the swamp. He's not saying that now. He's getting on with it. He's not telling them now. He's doing it. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Nicholas says, why does the Pink Palace have the most expensive and extravagant Christmas parties in the kingdom? Bent. And portcullis house. So he's just getting on with it. He's America first, stuff everybody else. Everybody else can foxtrot Oscar. The thing that didn't shock me, but unnerves me, is the fact that $20 million was paid to a bunch of journalists to do hit piece. A hit piece is where you denigrate someone, where you, thank you, Napoleon blown apart. Thank you. So these journalists will do hit pieces all over the place on Trump to make him look bad, whilst they were getting the alcoholic falsely inflated to think she was going to become the next president. Has she hit the bottle again? Now, they wanted to dig up the dirt on Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani was representing Trump, so they couldn't get to Trump, so they were going to get to those people that were representing him, the big minds, the big legal minds. And you know, that assassination attempt, these journalists, there's a $20 million slush fund to pay these journalists to get information, to not only dig up dirt on Rudy Giuliani, but to get dirt on Trump to impeach him. Can you see how the corruption works? It's all about the money. It's all about the grift. And don't trust a single journalist that you meet, because somebody's buying them off. Can you not see how the mainstream media, the legacy media, whether it's this country or whether it's the Labour Party, who were like, oh, he's a buffoon, Ginger Growler, and now that he's president, it's like, oh, he's not no, he's not a buffoon anymore. He's a really nice guy, actually. Oh, you two-faced oik. But the mainstream media was trying to scare everyone about Elon Musk. Oh, he's going to do this. He's got this on you. He's got access to this data and that data. He's going to... No, he's just looking at corruption and telling the Donald, here, mate, you need to get rid of that. That's worth $40 billion. We're talking about trillions. Now, not only have they got USAID on the ropes, but they're now going after defense. They're going after the Pentagon. And remember the Pentagon, just before 9/11? Hey, we've lost $3 trillion. Planes hit the towers. Everybody forgets. Nobody remembers that they lost $3 trillion. No, that's next. That's coming over the next few weeks. Now you know why everything is dangerous. Because they want to ban everything so that you don't find out anything. Because you know the corruption that they're uncovering in America, it's larger, obviously, because they've got money floating around, a bigger slush fund. But it's happening in this country. Now, these politicians, I've already told you, who gave Infosys, the company that belongs to the parents of the wife of the previous Prime Minister, who gave them all the drilling contracts in the North Sea? Oh, sorry. Didn't Rich Boy Sunak tell you that before he left office? Corrupt. You can't work on behalf of foreign governments or foreign organizations, Manchurian candidates, working on behalf of foreign governments against your own people. So the press were given millions of dollars to publish hit pieces, conspiracy theories. Me and you, oh, you're conspiracy theorist. Yeah, well, funny that, isn't it? Because we haven't gotten anything wrong yet. Including Hillary. So they're focusing on people getting the federal money. And you know that Fauci is being indicted. You know that Fauci is going to end up in a court of law in America for what he did during the lockdowns. Crimes against humanity. It's not at the federal level. It's not at the national level. It's the local level that's doing him. The whole world will, and his gran will watch that. Absolutely. So remember, for the Donald, they used lawfare. They didn't say it was illegal. They just used lawfare. They just wanted him done. But OCG Biden, that's going to come out. I mean, I know he's given out all these, you can't prosecute them, you can't prosecute them, you can't prosecute them. But you can prosecute a former president of the United States because that's what they did to the Donald. And then there's his son and his laptop, Hunter's laptop. Somebody somewhere knows what's on there, but nobody's telling, are they? So I did a bit of a deep dive the other day, and I still haven't finished my research. But I'm going to give you the heads up. There is a company called either Shemanix or Chemanix International Inc. So the biggest donators to this company, one was Pfizer, second in biggest donations, and Shemanix, mostly AIDS drugs. They made $17.3 billion over the lifetime of the company, and in the last 12 months, they made $1.6 billion. So I'm going to continue digging. I mean, there's always the Clintons and Haiti. There's always the Clintons and the film Clinton's Cash. If you've not seen it, I urge you to find a copy somewhere and watch it. It will literally take your breath away. Chelsea Clinton made $84 million. How does that work? Now, included in Sheminick's is John Podesta. Now, that name may ring a bell, but it's all there in the paperwork that I've been seeing. John Podesta, he's the man behind Pizzagate. Do you want me to continue? Because that is a whole different rabbit hole going down. Pizza and hot dogs, you know what they refer to, don't you? So Sheminiks are paying the Taliban to protect their stuff in Afghanistan. The Taliban's making like 40 million a day. Nice work. And then there's the Gazans, not to sort of move away from what I'm talking about, but the Gazans are, they've not got a pot to pee in. Because everybody, Palestine Liberation, I've told you this before, Palestine Liberation Organization, little Yasser Arafat, little Arab guy, he had, for the benefit of his people, hundreds of billions of dollars go to him to support the Gazans and the Palestinians. The PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization. And where did the money go? Nobody knows. Because little Yasser died before they could find out. And he was keeping all of the bank accounts and everything in his head. The passwords, the bank accounts, everything in his head. Didn't write anything down. And then he skipped off, shuffled off this mortal coil, and the Swiss are not happy when you start digging in their bank accounting. No, you can't have access. No, you can't have access. So all the billions of dollars that went to Yasser Arafat on behalf of the Gazans, or the Palestinian people, ended up in Swiss bank accounts, and nobody knows where the money is. In fact, they don't know how much money's in there, other than billions and billions and billions that they can't account for. But the Americans don't want to tell you that, because it'll look like somebody's skimming money off the top. Oh, really? It's called USAID. So the leaders were in, was it Dhofar, Qatari? They were living in Arab states outside of Gaza, billionaires. Now, I may be naive, but I'm too old a cat to be fucked by a kitten. How did they make all of their money? Oh, let's have a think. Same place that Yasser Arafat made all of his money from. On behalf of his people, they skimmed it. So the people can suffer. We don't give a flying. Oh, they can foxtrot Oscar. We'll just keep the money. Yeah, we'll keep the money. And that's what USAID is uncovering. They're uncovering tens of billions of dollars being given away to foreign countries, whether it's Africa. I'm not even going to go into what they're supporting and what they are using the money for. But that's why the Democrats are kicking off big time in America, because all of a sudden, that little honey jar, they can't put their fingers in it anymore. They can't make the money. So that's why they're kicking off. Not because Elon's doing anything. He's uncovering corruption. That's what he's doing. There's going to be people going to jail. I'll guarantee you the people at the top won't go to jail. Why? Because an arrangement will be made so to keep them out of jail. They'll all start coughing. And wait till Epstein's list is going to be released. Talking about that the last 24 hours. Bill Clinton, man. He's got to be in the shite. He's got to be. I mean, imagine somebody has a painting of you in a blue dress with your legs crossed, posting at the artist. Why hasn't Bill Clinton tried to destroy that? Deep state's going down. I know, Napoleon blown apart. Politicians are losing their 2%. Napoleon blown apart. I would suggest it's higher than 2%. I think it's probably nearer 10. Certainly for the Biden OCG. Rich, they have nothing left to throw at Trump, and they know it. Johnny Ray, Bill Clinton's baby gravy. Well, his baby made 84 million quid from USAID and the Clinton Foundation. I mean, it is obscene what these people are doing. I mean, we don't even know whether Hillary Clinton is the real Hillary Clinton or whether she shuffled off this mortal coil earlier and they replaced her with a, well, whatever they decide to replace her with. But she keeps getting younger. Do you not notice that? I mean, she was a proper, a technical term that we use in radio, she was a proper munter. I mean, I tried to work out what Bill saw in her. Maybe it was her intellect, maybe it was her personality. But Jesus, when she fell out of the ugly tree, she hit every branch on the way down. And now you look at it and think, that's not the woman that I saw in the 80s, married to Bill Clinton. Definitely not. Cheers, Rich. So they've all got these grubby little mitts in their honeypots, and they literally are squealing like stuck pigs because somebody, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, are stopping them from making their millions. And I've told you before, don't trust a lawyer or a barrister, because that's what they're in it for. The greenbacks. And that's why, you know, Secretary of State for this and Secretary of State for that. And you get, I mean, Clinton is keeping his gob shut because he knows if he says anything, I did not have sexual relationship with that woman. No, you just got her to suck you off under the desk of the White House desk. That's why she kept the dress. It's got your sugar icing all over that dress. I mean, look, I'm asking for a friend. Why would you, if, you know, you've had Bill stick your cigar where the sun don't shine, why would you keep the dress? Because it's got the DNA evidence on it. Fred Barker says, oh my God, how much money do people need to last 80 or so years? Look, there's always, my first time in London, when I was working in London, there's always somebody richer than you. So I'd be walking along, happy as a pig in shite. As long as I've got a couple of halfpennies in me trouser pocket, I can go and buy an ice cream, I'm happy. Then somebody drives past in a Ferrari and I think, oh, you bastard. And then I realise, how do I know they're happy? I don't. So money don't make you happy. It just gives you choices. But the Clintons, I mean, I hope I'm alive when somebody writes the book about the Clintons. Because if Trump gets 2 terms, America in 8 years is going to be vastly different to the America that we know now. And I was sitting there watching a promo for Captain America, and I thought, do you know, that's the Americans over the next 4, definitely, possibly 8 years. America is going to become the worldwide hero. They're going to make films about the American hero. Not 50 years ago, not 40 years ago. They've unleashed RFK Jr., some of JFK's, and Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, what a dirty old tart that boy was. He was shagging anything that moved. Boys and girls, shagging anything that moved. And he was taking part in orgies. And he was seen as a godly man. Said to you before, the Romans, women for procreation, men for recreation. That was Martin Luther King. Oh, they soon dampened that one down, didn't they? Brilliant. Ray Norton says he never had sexual relations, but he did say he splashed out on a dress. Very good. Very, very good. Vix text, money doesn't buy happiness, but you can be miserable in comfort. Exactly. Have you seen the opulence that Trump uses or has in his towers? And I know that him saying, oh yeah, we'll flatten Gaza and we'll build the Mara Gaza, rather. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. So I do believe that America will become the world's hero because the politicians are so corrupt and so inept. Well, all right, I'll qualify that. They're corrupt and they're not necessarily inept, but they're so corrupt that they're dropping the ball. They're making mistakes and people are finding them out. I mean, 100 grand worth of freebies before he got into power. How many freebies has Sir Keir Starmer had recently? I understand that he's paid £700,000 in jet fees. He's never on the ground. He's never in this bloody country. He makes it every Wednesday, but he's using these jets to go here, there and everywhere, fly back, do what he's got to do, photo op. As I said to you the week he was in Davos for WEF, I told you how it was going to happen. From the Sunday, they were doing little pieces in the press to make it look as if he was still here. He flew back for PMQs and then possibly flew out again if he needed, because he only had to be here for an hour. Switzerland's only an hour ahead. He could be wining and dining with everybody, including Rachel from accounts. She was there all bloody week with a begging bowl. Oh, hello, Klaus. You couldn't give us some money, could you? Well, we're shagging the economy. Oh, anybody shagging? Yes. How much do you want? So, I'm going to do a lot of work over the next few days just to play catch up. I do notice that when I came back after having sort of a week away, it was just overwhelmed. There's just, I've told you this before many times, that there's the news cycle, I did say to you, used to be a week. Week's a long time in politics. And it's sped up so much that it used to be 24 hours. When I started this channel, it was 24 hours. And then sort of 6 months ago, I was saying when Labour got elected, it was sort of half a day, 6 hours maybe. By the time they publish a story in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock in the newspapers, it had completely changed by lunchtime. Now, it's completely changed. It's instant. If I don't get a video made straight away that something hits the wires, there's so many people in this space, they will literally steal the march on everyone. So now, news is instant. It's no longer 6 hours or 24 hours or 12 hours or a week. It's instant news. Instant gratification, instant news, and instant devouring of any information that comes out. And that's why you can't keep on top of everything, because that's why it's been sped up, so you can't get the deeper dive. And that's what I'm going to go to, I think. I'm going to go to deeper dives. We'll go to some conspiracies, absolutely, certainly. There's some conspiracies that have come out in the last 2 years that I think, whoa, that's a real mindfuck. But that's what I'm going to concentrate on, because my experience in the media over the last 40 years allows me a little insight. And that's what I want, that's the value I want to bring to you, so that you get the insight about what I'm talking about. And I have no fear. They're not going to come knocking on my door. And if they do, and I'm an eternal being, having a human experience, what the bloody hell are they going to do to me? Anyway, I think we'll leave it at that, considering I wasn't going to do the live tonight. B, I've kind of struggled through it, but I don't want to struggle through anything. I want my brain always sharp, so I can give you insight, context, and lots of other things that are going to give you value from these lives, any phone-ins that I do, and any interviews that I do, because they're all on the table. None of it's off the table. Look after yourself. Be well. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions. Please hit the likes on your way out. You utter wrong'uns. And there will be more tomorrow. Definitely. It's just too much going on. And as well as your subscriptions, please make sure and check. I've said to you before, if I don't make a video, I lose 1 subscriber that day. And then if I haven't made a video for the second day, I lose 3 or 4 or 5 subscriptions. And I know that when I start making videos again regularly, they all pop back. So something is happening with the algorithm. I just want you to check your subscriptions to make sure that you are subscribed for anything that we hear about or need to get out to you as quickly as possible. But most of all, whatever you do, wherever you go, make sure the body of the cook is left in some orderly fashion. I'll tell you more about applying for the Archbishop of Canterbury job tomorrow. I might need your help to put the letter together, and that would be funny. I mean, can you imagine? That would be funny. What experience do you have? I'm the bloody Reverend. Reverend, you're wrong. Oh, okay. So how long have you had a faith in God? All my life? You're wrong. I am merely the ineffable experiencing yourself as consciousness. Oh, I say, is that in the Bible? Yeah, you're wrong. Don't you study it when you're not shagging kids? So, we'll try and do that over the next few days, give you a bit of a giggle and a smile. But as I say, wherever you go, whatever you do, please don't forget the Battenberg. And I'll see you live again Wednesday, 8 o'clock. To everybody in the chat, thanks very much for your input. Really enjoyed it. And there'll be more stuff coming tomorrow. See you later.